When this video comes out, San Francisco's Central Subway will be closed for a couple weeks due to a leak at Chinatown Station, in yet another indictment on what has been a project that has faced, let's just say, some challenges. As a result of this closure though, Muni has had to bring back the dreaded KT line. Really just two lines and a trench coat. At first it might seem confusing as to why this merged line even exists. Can't the K and T just remain separate? Well, it turns out the very existence of this line tells you everything you need to know about the design of Muni Metro. To explain why, let's start from the beginning. Market Street has long been the hub of San Francisco streetcars, with 4 tracks and vehicles arriving every few seconds at peak hours, in a phenomenon that came to be known as the Roar of the Four. Eventually, with many of the lines being converted to buses, 5 lines remained, thanks to their already existing right-of-ways in the Sunset and Twin Peaks tunnels and Church Street bypass. Those lines, J through N, were combined with the build-out of the Market Street BART subway to give us the modern-day Muni Metro. All 5 lines ended at Embarcadero until 1998, when the N went above ground in the meeting of the Embarcadero on King Street towards the Caltrain station and the ballpark. And this right here is the crux of the whole story. Repurposing a tram or streetcar to be more like a metro while downtown isn't really a big issue. Karlsruhe, Germany proves that it can work. It's rather the fact that all 5 lines feed into the exact same subway. There were never plans for any other subway, and residents of streetcar suburbs from lines J through N would want to preserve their one-seat ride straight to downtown. The 5 lines and the single downtown subway were the extent of Muni Metro for 2 decades, and they lived in harmony until the Mission Bay Nation attacked. A part of the city that was undergoing some major urban regeneration, with the arrival of a UCSF campus imminent, it was thought that the area would be best served by a modern light rail line. Thus, the T 3rd Street was born, with its stations having exclusively high-floor platforms, extending south all the way to Bayshore, near the existing Caltrain station there, via some historically underserved neighborhoods like Hunters Point and Bayview. Question is though, once this line got into the city, where would it go? Of course, it would get a new subway of its own, eventually, but in the meantime it had to go somewhere. Just terminating at 4th and King wouldn't be great, since it wouldn't connect to BART or any other Muni lines beside the N, and even that N connection requires crossing quite a wide street. So they decided to add a curved track allowing the T to use the N's existing tracks to the Market Street subway via King Street. So now you had not 5, but 6 different services all on the same subway, J through N and the T. The T would turn back at Castro, but if this wasn't done quickly, it could cause a domino effect of delays. And all it took was a couple months for Muni to decide that the best solution was to just merge the T with one of the existing lines that terminated at Embarcadero, either the J, K, L, or M, and they chose the K, probably due to its relatively lower ridership and the J being rather slow. So from 2007 all the way up until the Central Subway fully opened, Muni had an interline KT line as part of its regular service. There were some slight deviations from this, such as post-pandemic in 2020 when the T was merged with the M and the J, K, and L never entered the subway, but for most of this time period the KT was the norm. It would resurface again in November 2023 due to another Central Subway closure, and when this video comes out it will be back again for a couple weeks. While the KT is a good temporary solution, it's not very operationally efficient, mainly because of how long it is. The combined KT is 14.5 miles or 23 kilometers long, which for a tram line is quite a lot. Longer lines tend to be less reliable as it's harder to make up delays, especially on something like Muni Metro, which is already quite prone to delays. But until the new subway was completed, this was a compromise that had to be made. The point with all this is that it's quite difficult to run Muni trains to a high frequency when what you have is effectively 5 streetcar lines being fed into a single subway. It's especially challenging in the inbound direction, where it's harder to coordinate when trains reach the subway. For example, here's a photo I took where not 1, but 2 inbound trains were queued up just outside West Portal, waiting for a train at West Portal bound for the subway to leave. It's clear that one of the 5 lines in the subway has to be removed in the long term to provide better capacity on the other lines and reduce the chance of cascading delays. Every now and then there's talk of making the J a surface-only line, which would free up some valuable capacity in the subway. I think that would be a good move, provided that either the transfer at Church is made better, or maybe it continues up Market Street running alongside the F, or maybe replacing it entirely. Despite its slow speed and unconventional design practices, many parts of Muni Metro continue to attract strong ridership. especially since it's less downtown-centric than BART, hitting parts of San Francisco that are a lot more thriving than the rather dead downtown. The SFMTA are determined to rectify the system's biggest flaw, but the only question is, will they have the budget for it?